Alright, here's my daily Dow data. The first thing I like to do is change the name of this worksheet to original data. And I like to make the original data look right, so just format this, home, number, give me a few decimals, format this column as date. Wow, that's slow. Date, make it uniform, and make sure you're saved, by the way, this before you do the spreadsheet. Save it here before I do the pivot table, excuse me. So now I want to do a pivot table. So insert pivot table. This will automatically pick the range. You can change this range if you want to. It doesn't pick what you want to do. I like to put the pivot table in a new worksheet rather than an existing one. And here we have the pivot table. So because what we discussed in class, the perm numbers and the ticker are different, I like to have the perm number in the column, the date in the row, the return in the values, and that's just a count. It tells me, is there actually a return there? So if I come over here and do control down, the grand total, I can see there were 5,797 days worth of returns for this stock, 4,008 for that one, so I can see, how many returns there actually were. I can come over here and do the value field settings, and I can pick any of this output I want. So I'm going to do average first. I want to have the number format the way I want it. So let's go to 4 decimals, click OK, click OK, and now I have all of these returns. I can come over here and I can group these. I can group them by months, and it'll look like this. So this is the average return. This is the perm number for Microsoft. So this is the average return for Microsoft for all the Januaries in our data set from 1990 to 2012. In February, that was the average return. So we can look and see when Microsoft had its highest average return. It looks like January, I'm eyeballing it, I could use the max function, but it looks like January is the one with the highest return. The other thing about this group, I can come over here to the group, and I can group by months and years, and it's going to give me, here's January 90, 91, and on like that. So I can do any of those. So that's kind of a quick and easy way to do it by months. Let me go back here, and I'm going to do the one where we try to find the highest return and best Sharpe ratio for the day of the week. So we can have day right here. You can type equal text, open parenthesis, highlight the day, comma, quote D 4 times, so DD, close quote, close parenthesis, and that will tell you the day of the week is a Tuesday. Double click down. So the important thing there is go from the white cross to the black cross, double click down. Now we know the day of the week for each one of these. So I can insert a new pivot table, click OK, and I'll have the day in my, I'm going to do it in the columns, perm number in my row, and the returns in the values. I want those to be, in this case, the average. Okay, so there they all are. I could switch these and do day and perm number, so you just click on this and drag it where you want it to be. It's going to work out easier for what I want to do if I have the days of the week as the column headings. So let me copy this. I'll copy everything but that grand total. Come over here, paste, and these are my averages. Then let me go back to my original data. I want to do a new pivot table. Well, actually I don't have to do a new pivot table. I'll come back over here to where my pivot table is. By the way, if I click outside the pivot table, I can't really tell necessarily that's a pivot table. I'll click in here and this field comes up. So now I want to do the standard deviation. So value field settings. I go down to standard deviation and I want to do a number format. Do this to, let's do it to 6 numbers. Click OK. And OK. And now these are my standard deviations. So I can copy this over. Copy. Paste. Now let me get this formatted properly. Number, I'll give that 6 decimals as well. Get rid of those top 2 rows. And I can come over here and say, what is the, I'll call this Sharpe. Actually, let me do this. I'm going to copy right here so I have all the labels correctly, but instead of standard deviation, I'll call this Sharpe. And I'll copy the days of the week to right here. And for my Sharpe ratio, you know, it's equal to the return minus the risk-free rate. Let's just assume the risk-free rate is 0. I don't have that data. We could get it. But let's just say risk-free rate 0. So that's the Sharpe ratio for Microsoft on Mondays. I copy this over, and now make the white cross to black, double click, and copy it down. Let me get the format the way I like it. Those are my Sharpe ratios for those particular days. And now I'm just going to do this for Sharpe. You do the same procedure for standard deviation or for average. I want to find, in this case, my highest return. So let me copy the days. I want to know which day of the week has the highest Sharpe ratio. So I'll type equal if this number is equal to the max. I could do min if I'm looking for the smallest of all of these numbers, and F4 to lock it down, comma, put a 1 if it's a max. If it's not the max, put a 0. I copy that over and have a 1 on Wednesday because Wednesday has the best Sharpe ratio. I copy it down just by double clicking, and it's taking a long time. Well, the reason it's not, I'll tell you why it's not doing that. Simple mistake. If there's not data in the adjacent cell, it stops. So because I had that blank column, it just stopped. So I double click, and now it goes down. But here's a mistake I made. I locked down those cells, right? So now it's referring to row 3 at all times. So right here, what I should have done is I don't want to lock down the row. I want that to be able to change. I just want to lock down the column. So I just have the $ in front of the column. Then I copy that across, copy it down, and now I want to freeze these rows so I can see what's going on. So I click on row 3, go to View, Freeze Panes. I don't want to freeze the top row, I want to freeze the panes there, so it's going to freeze everything above that. Control down, and now I can just take the average, equal average, period, control up, enter, and 41% of the time, let me get this in percents.
Is Professor Godby in?
And the percents right here are going to tell me how often, so on 40% of the time the highest Sharpe ratio is on Monday, 35% on Tuesday, and that's it. So that took us under 10 minutes. Hopefully you can do that exact same thing in about that same amount of time.